Simps, the lifeblood of all e-girls. Since the dawn of the internet and donations became available, simps have always been a constant to those online. It is a symbiotic relationship in which the simp offers their vast riches and in exchange the recipient briefly acknowledges their existence. So sometimes, for when women have existed, man has sought out for their recognition. Works of fiction like Romeo and Juliet to non-fiction works that may still be fictitious, we don't really know. It's been a very long time, such as Libu from the Three Kingdoms, and everything that kick-started the Trojan War. Man has given everything for those they lust for. I, however, will not be talking about any of these stories, for these stories are already very popular and have already made their respective marks in both media and history. This particular story that I will be talking about, while maybe known to some mythology nerds, tends to be a bit more obscure to the general public, likely due to the meaning behind the story, or perhaps lack thereof meaning for this story. It's a weird story I'm going to talk about. I don't really know where it came from, don't really know why it started. It's not to say that no notable works were inspired from this story. There were, but you would have to look pretty hard for the connections. Really, I just want to talk about this really strange story, likely created by some very strange, bored people. Nevertheless, let me tell you the story of the ancient Greek king. Pygmalion was a king who was also an excellent Greek sculptor. He hailed from the island of Cyprus. Pygmalion was said to be such a great sculptor that many of his ivory sculptures looked lifelike. He was a great artist who refused to be swayed by the vices of man, vices such as the female species. Pygmalion hated women, despised them even. Well, no actual real answer exists as to why he hates women in the original Greek version. However, in the Romanization, due to Pygmalion witnessing the Propotides, who were the daughters of Propotis, who I assume is the ruler of the city of Amisus on the island of Cyprus, where the story takes place. I say assume because through my admittedly very brief research into this topic, I have no idea what a Propotis even is. Now, where was I again? Right. Pygmalion, a minor misogynist due to witnessing the Propotides acting as ladies of the night. Now, why would a bunch of daughters of a probably rich and powerful king act as night escorts? Well, not by choice, actually. Venus, who's the Roman version of Greek goddess Aphrodite, the goddess of love, cursed these women to their fate, for Propotis did not worship her. Thus, the Propotides became the first to give their bodies and lose their sense of shame on the island, or maybe the world. This story potentially has some real life implications, and I quote, compels every woman of the land to sit in the temple of Aphrodite and have intercourse with some stranger at least once in her life. Apparently, in the ancient world, Cyprus was famous for this type of forced prostitution. Now, to alleviate some concerns, it is debated whether or not that this fact is even true. It might just be like the rest of the story, a made-up myth. Where was I again? Oh, right. Yeah. Back to the main story. Pygmalion hates women, seeing them flawed to the point of remaining celibate, never to be sullied by them, like a regular old Discord mod. Then one day, while he was busy toiling in his craft, he finally made it. No, made her. A beautiful sculpture of a woman whose design was inspired by Aphrodite, the goddess of love herself. She was perfect. He could not take his eyes away from her. His heart had been stolen by this lifeless model of a woman. This was Galatea. Where she stood became a great shrine for him to worship her. Now, his perfection, what does Pygmalion do? Why, what any sane man would. Go to town, enjoy all those perfect curves with all his bits. Okay, I cannot officially say that he proceeded to do the five knuckle shuffle all over the statue, because the original story doesn't go that in detail on the crassness of what he does, which, for being an ancient Greek myth, is actually kind of surprising. I can confirm, however, that he did at least feel up Galatea, and even kissed her. Doesn't really go into detail as to where and what he kissed her with, so I'll leave that up to your imagination. Either way, Pygmalion was now in love with a woman for the first time in his life. The only issue was the woman he was in love with was an inanimate object. Hey, don't you judge. Here's someone marrying an airplane. Here's someone marrying an alligator. Here's someone marrying a dog. Here's someone marrying Hatsune Miku. So his plan was to send offerings and pray for Aphrodite, the goddess that the statue was based upon, for if anyone could help his strife, it would be her. So he prayed and prayed until the day of her festival, sending offerings down every time. On the day of her festival, when she descended down to earth and witnessed the statue of herself, impressed by his veneration, and her ego so thoroughly stroked upon seeing that the statue was based upon perfection herself, she decided to award this man with a boon. Upon returning from his worship, Pygmalion returned to an even more beautiful sight of his statue. So beautiful that he just had to kiss it. So he did. Definitely on the lips this time. Though they don't necessarily specify which lip. The lips felt warm, so he kissed them again. They were warm and soft. Galatea was alive.
Oh yeah? Oh my god, no, not in my ass!
His love was now alive, and he happily eloped with Galatea. Eventually, depending on what narrative you follow, they had a son named Paphos, or sometimes a daughter, which is what the city of Paphos is named after. Then they may have had a daughter, who knows? She's not really that important, they don't really mention her much. They lived happily ever after, and for their entire lives constantly worshipped and gave gifts to Aphrodite. The end. Now, what's the actual lesson here? Well, there doesn't really need to be one, but, well, it does explain why a city was named Paphos, and in the Roman version of the story it also explains why there may or may not have been a city of prostitutes. But it also does fill in the idea of art achieving something that is beyond reality. Pygmalion made Galatea based upon a goddess, perfection. And having created perfection, he went beyond that of nature, using natural resources to create perfection, something that nature just can't do naturally. Though it should be known that many Greek myths are told in a way to emphasize just how imperfect the gods really are, so that point might be rendered moot. Either way, culturally there have been plenty of paintings based upon the stories solely due to the great visuals that could be drawn from this. But story-wise, well, I mean, most of the important parts of the story were created much later after the fact, with Pygmalion's whole woman spurning being finally explained by Ovid's work, which was when the Romans finally conquered Greece, and who knows how long that story was passed down until it was finally written down. Even Galatean wasn't actually the name of the statue, it was just the statue. The first time that the statue being Galatea was ever reported was in 1770 by writer Jean-Jacques Rousseau. It's a very minor story in the world of Greek mythology. The only modern depictions of it in the last century are My Fair Lady and Lars and the Real Girl. Other than that, works such as Pinocchio can be said to be inspired by this story, but Pinocchio's about a little wooden doll becoming a real boy, while Galatea's a statue come to life. Now that I've told you this story, what should you specifically take from me? Um, I guess that if you simp hard enough to a person, they might give you a life-size body pillow with a pre-cut hole in it already. Wait, that's not right. Hey, it's the end of the video. Like, comment, share, and subscribe and all that smooth jazz. More videos coming in the future. Going to do some comic book based stuff. Gonna do some more Fate. Going to try and talk about Titan Moon Timeline. That's gonna take a little while, but gonna put that into a multi-part series, so hopefully it doesn't take as long. Other than that, yeah, gonna occasionally do live streams playing video games, so you know, I have a dumb web novel that I've written. You can go check that out. And other than that, that's it. This is Captain Bill, signing off. See ya. Oh, and watch other videos, like the Saber video and the Record of Ragnarok videos. Those are actually pretty good. Also, a Star Wars video. That's actually not half bad either. Go ahead. Goodbye.